okay, guys. When it was the second Friday the 13th of this month, I decided, you know what? Maybe it's about time I gone and done this because it is available on Netflix. And by this, I mean, watch the first 4 Friday the 13th films. Why not go further? Glad you didn't ask. 5 isn't on there, so I'd have to skip. And then they have 6, 7, and 8. They don't have 9, they don't have 10, they don't have the remake. Now, anyhow, talking about the first movie here. This is one that I hadn't really seen in its entirety in one sitting, but I didn't really care too much for it. And that didn't then, didn't now. And to be frank with you, though I've seen most of the entries, I believe that the 2009 remake is the best. So let's just get into the first film. This is like 1980. We got Kevin Bacon in it. I think it's his very first role. These camp counselors are killed in the 50s. Then we flash forward to, a good time later. I think it's 79, 80. This girl, real cheerful gal. She's headed to Camp Crystal Lake. She needs a bum a ride. All the locals are like, you don't want to go there. Turn around now. They don't drive her there the full way, so she has to get another ride. And on their way in, she has a bit of a disagreement, I guess, with the seemingly not talking driver. Gets out, gets chased in the woods, gets her throat slashed. This movie has effects from Tom Savini. I know everyone holds him in high regard. I think he's okay. I mean, I've seen some of his work that was not really blowing me away. Some of the stuff here is a little shoddy. More on that in a bit. So, as we continue, and that did throw me for a bit of a loop because the way this girl's introduced, it's like she's gonna be the final girl. And, I swear there's too many people. And, so, she gets killed early on. We end up finding out about these other folks. They're going to be camp counselors at the revived camp, I think it is. I know that's a plot line in the second film. Anyways, they're just kind of goofing around. I don't even think they really have lines. It's just, let's do something goofy and get it on film. So, they're kind of hooking up and stuff later on, and they're getting killed off one by one. This doesn't really surprise the audience in any way. I mean, if you're watching this movie, it's probably because you know of Jason Voorhees. So anyhow, Kevin Bacon gets killed. He's like laying in this bed and the spear comes up through his neck on the other side, which is really good aim. And it's not entirely believable, but in the scant time it's shown on screen, it doesn't look bad. So I gotta give Savini some props for going all out in that. As the movie goes on, we have, a higher blood count. Death tolls piling up. This lady comes by, and she's like, oh, hey, I miss Voorhees. Yeah, I mean, you almost can't even hear her say her name correctly. And she's like, yeah, so my son Jason was drowned a while back, and now I have to kill all of you. As she says this to the final girl. And that's one of the faults with this movie. Yeah, it's kind of cool that it's a whodunit mystery, but for any of those to work, you have to have players that the audience picks from. I think it's Jeff. Nah, it had to be Rick. No, how about Ashley? Whodunit with someone showing up in the last 10 minutes saying, ta-da, it was me, is pretty pathetic. So, final girl ends up fighting her. There's this one guy, his body was killed and put in the tree. And then he falls out of the tree, and this is a recurring gag in these films. He's kind of like, whenever the girl comes across, his body just kind of dangles. Very, very lame. Like, what triggered that? She hit a special branch? she ends up like cutting off Mrs. Voorhees' head, I think with like a machete or an axe. Not that it matters. And she's all traumatized, worn out about this whole experience. And at that point, she gets into a canoe, heads off down the lake, and I guess she takes a nap. And she has this dream that the drowned boy, Jason, like comes up out of the water and grabs her and pulls her under. And the cops hear about this, and then they're like, no, there was no boy there. Then the parting shot of the movie, you see some like ripples in the water as she would have been coming up. I mean, Jason would have been coming up for air. And I just gotta say that if Jason were alive the whole time, then we don't have a movie for the first movie. So for the second one to make any sense in the way they approach it, they just kind of forgot about stuff. And that's why this like whole series has always been at best mediocre. And I suppose this is one of the best entries of it. I mean, I'm giving it 2.5 out of 4 stars. Because being by itself, yeah, you don't have a lot of the iconic imagery. You do have the sound effects, that sounds not bad. I mean, that's really not a bad score when you're working a cheap movie angle. At the same time, this is trying to clone Halloween and doing a piss poor job of it. I know you guys are probably pissed, but check back and I'll have my review of part 2.